What's up, movie fans? Guys, we recently got the season finale of a very popular Disney Plus show. You know exactly which one I'm talking about. It's the one that's about the red guy with the horns. Yeah, exactly. Daredevil Born Again. That is what you were all thinking. Daredevil Born Again recently wrapped up its second season, and obviously I have a lot to say about it. I don't want to spend too much time recapping my thoughts on Daredevil Born Again Season 1, but I do have to go into them a little bit because I do think they're relevant to today's video. Overall, I liked Born Again Season 1. I thought it was good, but I also thought it was very, very messy. Daredevil Born Again Season 1 had a lot of behind-the-scenes turmoil, and you can kind of tell that while you're watching the season. Originally, they brought in a creative team who made the very stupid decision to try and make the show a reboot of the original Daredevil series that just happened to have Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio coming back in it. And that was just a very, very dumb decision. Then halfway through the production of the show, they realized that that was a dumb decision. So they fired that creative team, brought in a new creative team who actually wanted to make a sequel to Daredevil, but unfortunately the damage had already been done, so the new creative team had to build on top of the foundation that the original creative team created, and as a result, Born Again Season 1 is a mess. It tells a compelling story about Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk giving up their dual identities and then inevitably being brought back into their double lives because the two of them just can't help themselves. But that story is told very inconsistently, where they just made a ton of weird decisions like sidelining all of the supporting characters from the original show with the exception of Vanessa for some reason, and then introducing a ton of new supporting characters who just aren't as interesting. And so, when Daredevil Born Again Season 1 wrapped up, the general consensus with it is, this is pretty good, but Season 2 of the show is going to be way better. So, now we have Season 2 of Born Again. So the big question is it better? Yes, 100%. Daredevil Born Again Season 2 is way better than Season 1, and I am very, very happy about that. I really, really enjoyed Daredevil Born Again Season 2, and I would go as far as to say, I think this season is close to the same level as the 3 seasons of the original series. At the very least, I think Born Again Season 2 is actually much better than Season 2 of the original series. Spoiler alert, I can't really go into my thoughts on Season 2 of the show without going into full spoilers. The primary thing that Born Again Season 2 does to improve the show is it actually focuses on supporting characters from the original series. In particular, Karen. Karen was kind of just a guest appearance in Season 1 of Born Again, but in this season, she is the second main character of the show behind Matt, which is good because that is what she is in the original series. And I think they actually did a lot of really interesting things with Matt and Karen in this season, where the two of them kind of have a difference in ideology that actually makes a lot of sense in my opinion. At this point, Karen is kind of fed up with Matt's no-kill rule, and she basically says to him in this season, "You have sent Fisk to prison twice, and he has gotten out both times, nothing happened to him, so eventually you're going to have to cross a line. But Matt is just unwilling to cross that line, which makes perfect sense with his character because his no-killing rule got reinforced by the lessons he learned in season 3 of the original series. So I think that ideological conflict was actually really interesting. I didn't expect it, but it really worked for me. Obviously, Foggy unfortunately died in the first season of Born Again, so they couldn't bring him back as a major supporting character, but I did like the way that they used him in the one episode of season 2 where you get a bunch of flashbacks to Matt and Foggy together, and it actually gives you a lot of insight into Matt's place at that point in the season where he considers leaving Bullseye behind to die at the hands of the anti-vigilante task force, but then he remembers Foggy's views on redemption and forgiveness, and it ends up influencing him in the modern day and encouraging him to help Bullseye, and I thought that was a great use of Foggy. I really liked the use of Bullseye in this season. Once again, a character who was kind of just a guest star in season 1, but gets way more to do in this season, and honestly, I just really enjoyed him here. Wilson Bethel really does seem like he is just having the time of his life playing this character every single time he shows up. Moving over to Fisk's side of things in this season, I also think everything that happened with him was interesting. At first, Fisk is just kind of the normal Kingpin, the normal menacing villain that he's always been. Vincent D'Onofrio just knows how to play this character perfectly at this point. But then, in the second half of season 2, Vanessa is killed by Bullseye, and that leads to Fisk becoming angrier and more dangerous than he has ever been before, and it leads to his world just unraveling before him, and I thought that was a brilliant story choice. Honestly, Vanessa's death is one of my favorite story choices that they made in this season because it is such a great, shocking moment that just makes you realize, oh crap, Kingpin is about to go crazy. And I think that they really did deliver on that. Other returning characters who I like, they bring back Jack Duquesne from the first season of this show and also Hawkeye, and they give him a shockingly large role in the first few episodes of the season where there's a whole trial going on with him, and I thought that was a lot of fun. And then the other thing is the last few episodes of the season bring back Kristen Witter as Jessica Jones. Full disclosure, I never made a YouTube short about this like I did when I finished watching The Punisher, but I actually finished watching Jessica Jones recently, so seeing her pop up in this show was just a ton of fun. I thought Kristen Ritter just stepped right back into this role. But the other great thing about Born Again Season 2 is that they didn't just improve the supporting characters from the original show, they also improved on the new supporting characters from this show. I found the new supporting characters from season 1 of Born Again to be way more interesting in this season. With only really 2 exceptions, I thought Sheila kind of got sidelined, which is fine because I actually liked her well enough in the first season anyway. And they also sidelined Cherry, which I'm also fine with because, to be honest, I just don't care about Cherry. I'm sorry, Cherry is easily the weakest of all of the supporting characters that they've introduced in Born Again. I just don't really care about him that much. But the other supporting characters, they did a great job with. Starting with Daniel, because I already kind of liked him in season 1, they made him so much more interesting in this season, where instead of going down the path that you think he's going to go down, where it seems pretty obvious at the end of season 1 that he's going to become more and more corrupt and more okay with Fisk's criminal activities, Daniel has a completely different arc in this season where he actually realizes he isn't okay with what Fisk is doing, and he's only really staying with Fisk out of fear. And then in the second to last episode of season 2, he decides to take a stand to protect Bibi from Fisk, and that leads to him dying. And that was a story point that I really did not expect, but I actually thought it did wonders to make Daniel a great character in this season and in the series in general. I also really like Bibi in this season. I think in general, Bibi might be my favorite of the new supporting characters in Born Again. I just really like the idea of bringing Ben Urich's niece into things and having her desperate to expose Fisk for the monster he is, and I really liked that storyline in this season because it was way more focused on. I also really liked Buck in this season. Buck was a character who I liked in season 1, but they didn't really do a lot with him. In this season, they give you way more insight into his backstory. They make him a way more human character, where by the time you get to the moment where he kills Daniel, he actually looks remorseful. You can tell he doesn't want to do this, and I think that made him a very interesting character. And by far, the two most improved characters in season 2 of Born Again were Kirsten and Heather. Kirsten, I thought, was kind of just a nothing character in the first season of this show. She didn't really do a lot. In this season, they gave her way more to do, and I actually really liked her. I thought that she was just a really fun character with a really fun personality, and I enjoyed spending more time with her in this season. And then with Heather, they went down a path with that character that I wasn't expecting at all. In this season, Heather is dealing with PTSD over her encounter with Muse in the first season, and once again, I wasn't expecting that, but that makes a lot of sense. That is a very natural evolution of this character, and the path that she goes down is so dark, where they imply at the end of this season that Heather actually is going to be the new Muse going forward in season 2, and I really did not expect that at all, but I thought that was a very, very cool development for this character. Another character that I really liked in this season was Matthew Lillard's character. He's not from season 1, he shows up in this season, and I thought that he was just a lot of fun because he's just Matthew Lillard. Like, Matthew Lillard is a genre of character. Seeing him just be Matthew Lillard in this season, that was a lot of fun. In general, I thought the story of Born Again Season 2 was really, really interesting, where throughout this season, Matt and Karen and their resistance are trying everything to bring Fisk down, and you get to this point in the 6th episode of the season where it's an all-out war on the streets, and Matt is fighting Fisk, and I was really, really surprised because I was just thinking to myself, this feels like season finale material, but then you get to the end of the episode and Fisk basically just says to Matt, what are you going to do to bring me down? You can't arrest me, you won't kill me, there's nothing you can do. And that leads to a very unexpected story direction in the final 2 episodes of the season where Matt realizes Fisk is right. I can't bring him down by beating him in a fight. I've already tried that. So how about we try something different this time around? And the finale of season 2 is a court battle. A court battle between Matt and Fisk where Matt pulls out all of the stops and he, once again, massive spoiler alert, confesses to a courtroom full of people that he is Daredevil to bring Fisk down and testify against him. I thought that was brilliant. My jaw was on the floor during that entire scene. I was actually watching the finale of this season with Movie Friend, and we were both going crazy watching that scene. Like, I think Movie Friend actually cheered when he said to the courtroom that he was Daredevil. Like, it was just such an awesome, different, exciting finale. And then you just think of that finale and you realize he pulled out all of the stops for Karen. Like, Karen being in danger was the thing that finally convinced him to go all out. And I think that that is just so sweet and so in line with Matt's character, and it was really, really satisfying. Other notes about the season, I liked the action this season, the long take sequence in episode 3 where Matt and Jack are saving a bunch of people imprisoned in Fisk's warehouse. I thought that sequence was awesome. I loved the fight between Matt and Fisk in episode 6. Like, yeah, just a great season in terms of action. I loved the Fisk hallway fight in the finale. I was not expecting Fisk to get his own hallway scene. Yeah, overall, I thought Born Again Season 2 was a huge improvement over Season 1 and just a really good season of television on its own. And I'm really, really happy that they were able to turn things around and make a good second season that really does feel like we have the Netflix show back in a new form. Do I have problems with season 2? Yes, one big one. And luckily, I think that this problem is going to be fixed in season 3 of the show. I'm kind of tired of Kingpin. I'm not gonna lie, as much as I love Kingpin, he is one of my favorite villains of all time. I just feel like Daredevil versus Kingpin has been going on for way too long now. Out of the 5 seasons of Daredevil that we have gotten thus far, 4 of them have been about Daredevil versus Kingpin. And even season 2, which wasn't about Daredevil versus Kingpin, still featured Kingpin in a very prominent role. I just feel like we have to move away from Fisk. He can still be a supporting character in the rest of the series, but I think we need to focus on new Daredevil villains because it's just getting a little bit tiring having Matt fight to bring down the same guy over and over again. And so, yeah, that's kind of my big complaint with season 2. I think I'm starting to have Kingpin fatigue. But outside of that, I think Born Again season 2 was a great continuation of the series, and I really enjoyed it. So, Yeah, I gave Born Again Season 1 an 8 out of 10 when it first came out. Over time, I kind of realized that I was overhyping it a little bit, and I would probably drop that score down to a 7. With that being said, Born Again Season 2, I'm going to give a 9 out of 10 to. I thought this season was just a massive improvement, and I'm very, very happy with it. So yeah, there you go. Those are my thoughts on Born Again Season 2. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe. Comment down below, what are your thoughts on Born Again Season 2, and see ya, movie fans.